Hello, today we're wearing a hat because I watched 3 YouTube videos on how to cut hair and gained an alarming amount of self-confidence. I have since been humbled. It is that humility we're bringing into The Unworthy by Agustina Bazterrica. This is a very short novel about evil nuns in a post-apocalyptic cult. One of many mistakes I've made this week was reading this on audiobook. This is a very prosy novel. The language is quite beautiful, and with books like that, I prefer to read them and really sit with them and take my time with them. But I didn't know this was gonna be good before I started reading it, and so I read the audiobook version, and then it was too late to get the other copy in my library. So I stuck with the audiobook version, which was good, but not my ideal format of reading a book like this. This was also an epistolary novel, and I've seen that the actual text of the book sort of plays with that, and they're like words struck out, and so it really looks like this character's writing letters, so I recommend the text of this. And because I don't feel like I got the really full experience of this, I can't totally properly rate it, but I did really enjoy this. This is somewhere between 4 and 5 stars. I may reread this someday. I didn't love it so much that I'm dying to reread it, but this is a book that I could see myself rereading, and I would reread the text, and I think I'd get a lot more out of it on a close read and really sort of better understand the themes. So this won't be the most analytical video about this book on the internet, but there were a lot of things I liked that I still want to talk about. So like I said, this is an epistolary novel, and it's very short, and it's very character-driven. There's not a lot of plot happening here. Our main character is sneaking away to write these notes, and she doesn't even have ink. She has blood and bug guts and poisons and nature stuff. She's also not supposed to be writing this. She's kind of hiding it away. And there's also moments where someone will walk in and catch her, and she has to put it away, and so her thoughts won't even be finished. And the section's just abruptly cut off. It's really interesting, and I think it does the epistolary format very well. Some books say they're epistolary, and then they just read regular books, and the epistolary format does absolutely nothing except being a weird, unnecessary stylistic choice. This is actually epistolary, and you really get a sense that these are real diary entries and really told from the perspective of this woman, who's very interesting and immediately interesting. So the very first opening scene of this novel is her putting cockroaches into her rival's pillow. So she's a nun, I guess. She's one of the unworthy, which she's basically in a cult. There's a strange man who leads everything, who they never see. There are minor saints, there are the enlightened ones, and she's the unworthy, which is really just a step above the servants. The servants have nothing, they're basically expendable. But the unworthy are treated like regular sisters, but they're all fucking catty. Or not really, but kind of. Our main character especially is very vindictive. She's a very morally gray character, and I really liked that. She has a distinct voice and a distinct personality, and she's not just the happy-go-lucky, plucky, good person that you expect from most protagonists. Again, the opening scene is her putting cockroaches in another nun's pillow, and doing it in the most calculated, fucked up way. She talks about how she stitches the pillow up, but leaves just enough space for the cockroaches to slowly crawl out one by one, and so there's a steady stream of cockroaches crawling over this woman's face while she sleeps, and how she wouldn't be able to get them all out at once and just shake them out, So she's vindictive. She's a morally gray character, and I do like her voice and being in her head and seeing things. And you kind of understand how she got there. This is a post-apocalyptic world, climate change. Her mother died when she was very young, and then she joined a gang of street urchins. They had to kill to survive. They killed animals. I mean, they had to fight for themselves. This is kind of a terrible wasteland. Not really a wasteland, but they have to fight to survive. And there are limited resources, and people are killing each other over them. And even at this convent, they take in some outsiders. She herself was an outsider who came here as a last resort, sort of ended up at the gates of the monastery begging for help. And they let her in because she wasn't infected by the radiation, I guess. And she's also a woman. The cult, it's a cult, so they're lying to people and mistreating all of these women because there's a strange man running it. And he tells them that there's no men left on Earth, and getting pregnant is this terrible thing, but there's clearly men left on Earth, and sometimes some of them come to the gate, and those men get murdered, secretly. And some of the unworthy and some of the higher-ups, aren't really allowed to know about it, and it gets dealt with in secret. So really a lot of this book is about the atmosphere and sort of the world building. We don't get total world building, because again, we're just in one woman's head and she's just kind of trying to survive this apocalypse in this cult. But it's very atmospheric. The whole book is very vibes based, and if you like the vibes, you will like this, because again, it's not super plot driven. There's more plot in the back half when a new character gets introduced. But for the most part, we're really just learning about this woman and her day-to-day struggles and, you know, her backstory and what all comes of that. So in the present day, this woman is a nun. She's trying to become an enlightened. She's trying to impress the Mother Superior to sort of advance in rank here. We don't really know what these people believe or, like, why they would want to advance, and it seems like some of the saints have, like, their tongues gouged out, I think. Like, they, like, mutilate themselves. It's, like, fucked up. It's atmospheric horror. It's cool. They're all trying to impress the Mother Superior because that's what you do. That's how you become worthy. And really, she hates her rival Lourdes for really no reason other than Lourdes is kind of a suck-up and is also trying to get promoted to a higher status of enlightened. The rivalry is kind of funny because it's really intense for no reason. It also seems like really one-sided for the most part. And it's also like subtextually homoerotic. And again, our main character, who never gets a name, which is like realistic because she's writing a diary. And also, I guess, like, if they found the diary, would they know it was hers? Probably, but whatever. So we don't know our main character's name, but she's evil. Kinda. And she can get violent, and she's at points like, I want to kill Lourdes. I want to kill her. I want to capture her. I want to torture her. I want to see her naked. I'm gonna kill her. And it's kind of funny, but like in a fun, fucked up way. I like books where the main character, the lesbians, I guess, at large, get to be evil, not have to be evil because of societal conventions about those characters needing to be the villains in order to tell a good moral righteous story for all the straight people reading. But I love reading contemporary stories about morally gray lesbians, and this woman is a lesbian. I don't even think she knows that, because again, she's so focused on survival, and also there's like no romance allowed here. Again, if the women get pregnant by the men who don't exist, then they get killed. And so romance just isn't a part of this woman's life until she meets this random woman in the woods. The woods. There's something about, like, the woods being striked out in the text, which you kind of get a sense of in the audiobook. Again, I recommend the text. But, like, the audiobook kind of, like, whispers parts that are struck out, I think. And I didn't quite get to pick up on, like, what the negative association, like, there was some sort of traumatic association with the woods that I'm sure was explained that, like, maybe I missed. Again, I'd really like to sit with this and, like, really absorb the words very slowly and carefully. I definitely missed a lot of the thematics with this one, but I do think that they're there. Like, the quality of the writing made me believe that those things are there for people who dig for them. But she ends up coming across this woman in the woods and not rescuing her. Again, sometimes they rescue women and bring them into the unworthy. But this woman, she thinks is dying or is, like, too sick to make it back. And, you know, she's also, like, kind of struck in a gay way. She's struck in a gay way, but I don't think she knows that. And so she's just like, this is like her secret, her big secret, that she's found this woman. But she leaves her for dead, but then she ends up finding her again, and she's not dead. And this time she does bring the woman back to the cult. She ends up getting named Lucia, and she ends up being a Christ-like figure. I don't know what the thematics are there if you really delve into it. Again, I really have to sit with this one. But she can do miracles. She walks on hot coals and doesn't get burned. Lourdes, it is Lourdes actually, who is pretty catty. Lourdes puts a bunch of wasps in her bed, but instead of the wasps stinging her, she can control the wasps and makes them sting everyone else. So she's immediately like the golden child of the Mother Superior, and all of the other unworthy are resentful of her and jealous of her, except for our main character, who's like on her side because she rescued her, and then they start sleeping together and like having a tryst and like sneaking out and doing their own thing. So that sort of romance is kind of the plot. That's not really the plot. It's sort of the character development, which is kind of the plot. But the really the back half of the plot stuff is this sort of miracle woman and revelations about the cult and the cult being evil and not what it says and being run by a shady man. Finding out secrets about the cult, as you'd expect. But again, this isn't a book you read for the plot. You read it for the atmosphere. You read it for, like, the insight into this weird world and these weird characters and this weird cult. The ending's pretty interesting. Not what I expected. and I don't know what to make of it because, again, I didn't sit with this long enough. And I don't think it's a super tight story. I don't think it's trying to say one thing and the ending is, yes, this is the resolution to the thing. It's sort of presenting a lot of these themes and sort of making you do the work that I didn't do, but you could do. I recommend you do it because this was a good book and it's worth that, I think, the story is. But I like that this wasn't holding your hand the whole time. And there's a lot of like gaps in knowledge that the book trusts you to figure out. You can read between the lines of what this woman says, and she doesn't just explain everything in explicit detail. Like, this is the world, and this is what happened, and here's all the backstory, and here's all the information. It feels like a real diary entry, and so you're just slowly learning about this world through the osmosis of this woman's thoughts and reactions and perceptions of things, which I like. This book doesn't treat you like you're dumb. It treats you like you're smart and you're going to do the work. I'm not smart and I'm not going to do the work, but it treated me like I was going to do all of that, and I appreciated that. And again, this is a short book, so I think it would be an easy one to digest if you read it appropriately. I didn't. So this video is basically just me recommending this book and saying you'll probably get more out of it than me, but I got a lot out of it. And I did enjoy it. Not like a favorite of all time, but a good, deep novel that there's a lot here to analyze and think about and enjoy. I've heard mixed things about this author, actually, but a lot of people do like her books, and I feel like I probably would as well if the writing style is similar to this, because I think just the writing was really good on a prose level. It is a translation. I think the original is in Spanish, and so I don't know, like, how much is lost in translation. I don't know if this is a good translator or not. It felt like a good translator, but maybe it is still missing something. I wouldn't know. I don't know if her other books are sapphic, so I don't know that I will be reading them personally, but I do think this is probably a good author, and I see why other people like her other books. Maybe, unless they suck. Because again, I have also seen negative reviews. But granted, I've seen negative reviews of this as well. Or like, maybe not negative, but like mid. But I don't think this was mid. I thought this was pretty good. There's something here. Maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe you have to kind of be interested in these morally gray characters and this sort of horror atmospheric setting. And maybe it's kind of slow just because there's not a lot of plot going on. Especially in the beginning, you're just kind of learning about these characters. So you have to like the vibes. So maybe if you don't like an atmospheric novel, this one wouldn't quite be for you. But I also don't think it's like so slow or so long that you wouldn't be able to get into this if atmosphere wasn't your thing. I think there's enough goodness with the prose and with the themes and with the characters that you would enjoy this anyway. Perhaps. I think you should read it. This gets a recommendation from me. I feel like I look like a guy who's never worn a hat before, and that's because I'm a guy who's never worn a hat before. Oh no.